The New Reconquista. I declare the emasculation of Western civilization, of Western ideals, ambitions, and beliefs, to be over. We have come to the crossroads, and all men must now choose his path. There is no neutrality, not when war and invasion has all but been formally and publicly declared. 15% of our population is foreign-born, from non-Western countries, and that number will only increase. We must change direction before it is too late, with all the peace that is possible, but without the bashfulness of being prepared to take up any necessary arms. How can we simply allow the examples afforded to us by contemporary France and England pass us by ignored? If those nations are to be sacrificed to the stench and chaos that is multiculturalism, let that sacrifice not be wasted. In France, where grooming gangs prowl the streets, citing their abominable religions and cultures that prey on a nation's most defenseless and innocent citizens have no place amongst the civilized, let alone bear the right to exist at all. Let it be expunged from the Western world and banished forever to their dark countries. The blood of the victims even now splatter our hands and cry out to God against us for suffering these perpetrators. For they come to destroy all beauty, good, and life. England, her histories and traditions and countrysides, are under attack and fading fast. Her crown is worn by a traitor, both to his country and to the faith. One might argue these examples as outliers or exaggerations. Very well. But let us consider the origins of bacteria to understand the effects of a disease. Islam, by nature, is a religion of conquest. It is a religion of child brides. It is a false religion of unchecked carnal pleasure. Islam must be eradicated. India is universally acknowledged as a place unfit for unaccompanied female tourists. Can anyone from a place where basic chivalric values are disavowed be allowed to live among a civilized people? The pigsty of the East must recall their sons, or we shall do it for them, in the name of our God, our daughters, and our future prosperity. For the United States has been called a melting pot, and so, through the years, we have welcomed our fellow man in with open arms. Give us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Then do not blame us for the expulsion of non-Westerners. We were willing to try this great immigratory experiment. It was they who failed to conform to American principles and morals, those of the West and Protestantism. Calling America a melting pot implies conformity. Yet we do not see conformity. Just walk into a Walmart and you will hear the mingled babbling of tongues. Go to the cities and you will see their mosques, the congregates yearning for the church next door to become the next Hagia Sophia. Find any Somalian, and you will see that they do not understand that raping teenage girls is not part of our culture. To quote the great Hungarian hero John Hunyadi, "We have had enough of our men enslaved, our women raped, wagons loaded with severed heads of our people, the sale of chained captives, the mockery of our religion. We shall not stop until we succeed in expelling the enemy." And if you deny that any one of these things is happening now in America, may God forgive your blindness. Sex rings, the attacks on Christianity in preference to Islam, the murder of our citizens, and constant rapes, every day by Pakistanis and others. Before we are completely and truly robbed blind, for money these immigrants make is sent to their country. There is no economic growth in our nation because of these immigrants. And replaced, we must reestablish ourselves in this, our native land. We owe no man safe harbor, especially if they refuse to conform. Of course, there is historical precedence for all this, the most obvious being the Spanish Reconquista. Lasting from 722 to 1492 AD, this was a struggle between the ruling Muslim armies and the conquered Christian Spanish people seeking to reclaim the Iberian Peninsula from heathen control. The last Spanish army had been pushed to a single kingdom in the north of Spain. 500 knights remained. Yet by the grace of God, those few brave men were able to reclaim the entire land. Following this, they were able to become a bulwark of Christianity, eventually spreading the true faith and the values of the West to the South American region. If those men had simply surrendered, Western culture would have been overrun by Islam, light extinguished by the dark. All through history we have seen this, the unwillingness of good men to surrender their faith and values to the inferior. I think of Charlemagne and Roland, Vlad Dracula Tepesh and John Hunyadi. This cause is just. But dare I say a superior culture? Or imply an inferior one? For in this modern era, when morality is gray and everyone of equal basic virtue, to describe one culture as simply superior is a most grievous sin. And I wish first to state that all men are created in the image of God. It is not the man I hate, but what that man does and believes. For the vile man, the man or group we must drive from our shores, is sick, is infected. And infected men must not be among the healthy until they are healed. But there are cultures that demand the protection of women and children, that protect their lives, their innocence, their nature. Others destroy those things. There is a culture of Christ worship and one of demon worship. The West values life, while others seek to destroy it. The promotion of beauty and art and Renaissance is prevalent with the West, but meanwhile in Syria, artifacts and art are currently being destroyed by their very governments. The person who believes these differing cultures can coexist is deluded, blind, and stupid. There is a modern call for Reconquista. The odds are against us, but they were also against the Kingdom of Castile all that time ago. America has senators now claiming their other countries as their true home and concern. Traitors, especially in government, must be executed. Otherwise, Reconquista must be done as peacefully and morally as possible, though with the readiness for open warfare as final resort. Let others be incapable of calling us a bloodthirsty mob. We cannot be blamed for extending the hand of friendship to our fellow humans, but it was they who acted in bad faith. But now, history will judge us for resting on the self-satisfaction and arrogance of progressivism and tolerance, even as our country and identity is stripped and sold away piecemeal, until even our souls are diminished. We must rectify this whoring out of our nation, of giving up our birthright, our people's very own lives and virtue and innocence. But of course we must be careful in the expunging of our nation's cancer. We cannot lose credibility and be labeled a bloody mob. Let our cause be just, and that justice be so obviously displayed. And let us not forget that man is by their very nature the most brutish of beasts. Incite him to violence, and he will love and crave violence. Whet his thirst for blood, and he must have his flagon always full. Let the exact nature of the Reconquista be known. Let the guidelines and extent be obvious, and let any overstepping be punishable by death and confiscation of property. But this call is being sounded. Let it be answered by all good men, lest the blood of innocents wet their hands also. Remember the cause, remember the purpose. In Deuteronomy, Moabites had to be removed 10 generations before they could be counted with the Israelite camp. Perhaps there is something to be learned there.